Good. Yep, I think we're good. And did he give you the warning that we're being recorded, Jeff?
Yep, I'm aware. All right.
All right, Jeff. So yeah, what's going on? I'd like you to introduce yourself, Jeff, and tell us a little bit about yourself, your role in your company.
Okay. My name is Jeff Baldassari. I'm the president and CEO of US Rubber, and we are located in Colton, California. And I've been here since April 1st of 2019. And when I arrived here at US Rubber, I was tasked with the responsibility to turn the company around and build upon it. And it always takes people to do that. And building successful teams is the key to any organization's long-term growth and strategy. That the core is the people, not machines, not materials, people. And our company goes back about 20 years with hiring ex-felons, not on a large scale, but we have our plant manager who's been with us for just under 20 years, 18, 19 years. He's an ex-felon. And we have today 2/3 of our factory workers are ex-felons. Wow. And when I came here, I had never, knowingly, I had been in manufacturing before with a different company for 17 years. It had factories in Cleveland, Los Angeles, and down in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Yeah. And dealt with unions and dealt with 3 different parts of the country, but never with ex-felons. But here it was the culture of the organization in the factory. So I embraced it and built upon it and expanded it. And we have a halfway house that's fairly close to where our factory is. And that's our hiring agency, if you will. It's kind of interesting. People have asked, what agency do you use to find ex-felons? I'm like, yeah, it's a halfway house, a couple of miles away. That's our hiring agency. So what the best part of the program, before I get to the questions you asked, Andre, the best part of what works here at US Rubber is the fact that the leadership or the guidance to help people not just get on the right track, but stay on the right track are the ex-felons themselves. So it's the guys, and we have a couple gals, but mainly guys who just do the heavy lifting in our factory. It's the guys that have been here. They have turned their lives around for a decade, a half a decade, 2 decades, whatever the number is. They become the role models for the newer employees we hire. And each of these folks have overcome. We all live by the decisions we make. Good decisions, bad decisions. And ex-felons, okay, they made a couple, one or many, several really bad decisions. Yeah. But at this point, they made a really good decision to get on the right road. And so we want to create an environment here at US Rubber, we have, to enable them to thrive, to feel welcome, to start building their self-esteem, their self-worth. A lot of these guys have challenges. It could be for a variety of reasons. It could be due to drug abuse, alcohol abuse, just their most of their lives where people have not valued who they are as human beings or individuals, and that's played upon their psyche. And so, and a lot of times, it's the first time in their life where people are telling them, "You're doing a great job. We really appreciate you contributing to our success or being a part of the team." And it's a tough thing for these guys to adapt to. Most do, not all. The other thing that's challenging is they have to, as you know, Andre, they've got to shed the bad people in their lives. They can't go back to who they used to hang out with, because that outcome is not going to end well. The same thing with behavior. You can't be messing with drugs. You can't be messing, with things that you're kind of playing a game with the law. If you want to turn your life around, you got to shed that from your life too. It's all about who do you want to become from this job, not what are you going to get from this job. Who do you want to become? And then the activities and the activities you engage in outside of work and the people you hang around with outside of work, you have to ask yourself a simple question. Does this serve my goal of what I want to become? And we try to reinforce that over and over with the guys in various forms or different ways of saying it, but that's the core of what we do. And as far as ex-felons, we don't, when we, and this may be in some of your questions, and I'll turn to them in a minute. When people apply, we never ask, what did you do? We never ask, how long did you serve? It's irrelevant. It's the rearview mirror. Yeah. We take that off the table and we give them a clean slate. This is your chance to turn your life around. The opportunity is literally in your hands. And you can only look in the mirror from this point on to say, yep, I took advantage of it or I didn't. And, and so if guys do share what they've done, that's up to them. But nobody really cares. I mean, in a sense of from an employment standpoint, we care about them as a human being, but not care as far as, well, gee, that person wouldn't be eligible for promotion or advancement in the company because they did this or they served for that long. That has never happened here, never will happen here. So that's the environment we try to keep, create. We don't give special treatment to ex-felons. So if somebody walks in the door who's not an ex-felon, they have an equal chance with the ex-felons. We just take, if you look at our application, we don't ask about your past criminology, any events in your past. Don't care, don't ask, don't know. But again, they're coming from the halfway house, and so obviously we know they've done something and they've served time, but after that, it's in the rearview mirror, so we don't care. So you want me to turn to the questions now, Andre?
Yeah, that was really good stuff. I mean, listen, Jeff, that's like good culture. We spoke before, and that's really good culture that U.S. Rebel lives by. That's good stuff that you believe in. And I'm happy that you said that like you've learned all that stuff from just working at U.S. Rebel too about formerly incarcerated people. I didn't know that was this was like the first time that you were like really embracing it with this position, but that's good. So yeah, Jeff, let's turn to the questions. So my first question is Jeff, in your hiring experience, right? We're staring away from the formerly incarcerated, right? We're not singling out on them right now, but what qualities do you look for, right, when you're hiring for a position, when somebody's coming in for that interview? What are those qualities that you're looking for?
It's the biggest thing we're looking for is attitude. Do these guys, are they hungry? Not hungry in the fact that I want to advance in the company, but they want to they're hungry to turn their life around. They're hungry to show up every day on time. They're hungry to give it their best each day. They're hungry to learn and develop skills, because some of them do have skills when they come out of prison. Some we have to teach, and that's okay. Again, it depends on the roles, but the biggest thing is their attitude. How bad do they want the job? How much are they committed to the job? How committed are they to becoming the best person they can possibly be through the job? And if I just add two quick things I didn't mention before, economic stability is the core of everyone's lives. I don't care if you're ex-felon or not. If you don't have economic stability in your life, that's going to have repercussions, and then none of them are good. I don't care who you are. So having a good job, a well-paying job with benefits, really reduces the stress level in people's lives, and it gives them the opportunity to reduce stress throughout their life, not just their work life. The second thing as an employer, I failed to mention, I think not every company can do this, but I think it behooves those companies that can, those corporate citizens. We have two choices as a society. If we don't hire ex-felons and bring them back into the workforce, those ex-felons have two choices: go back to crime, become homeless. Now let's take the individual out of the equation as far as the ex-felon. Neither one of those choices are good for society. They hurt society, because then if you have more crime, obviously that drives up your police costs, and it hurts the society in all sorts of different ways. If they become homeless, same thing, maybe not to the same extent, but still it hurts the community. If these individuals get an opportunity and they take advantage of it, and you create that environment, then they contribute to the greater good of society. And that's why I think it's important, and that's why I've embraced it, to think it is the right thing to do. These are people. We all make mistakes, and you know what? And they're looking for that second chance. So if that's why, going to your first question, if they've got the right attitude, Andre, and they want it bad, they really want to turn their life around, we love to see that. And from that, we can build upon something, teaching them the skills, teaching them what's expected of them, and hanging in there with them, because it is a bit of a roller coaster for the first several months. Well, it's not easy. You don't just wake up and everything's unicorns and rainbows. And so we got to hang in there with them till they get their footing, secure, and they start building that confidence in themselves. Like, hey, I can do this. I can keep this job. So that's what we look for. Attitudes. It's by far the number one most important thing on who we hire or why we hire anyone.
Thank you for that, Jeff. And so far, every interview I've done, that's what I've heard: attitude. Right.
Oh, good.
It's the first thing. Great answer. Good thing. skills can be taught, right? Attitude is what should be looked at. That's really good. So Jeff, in your years, right, in your years of working, especially working at different companies, right? From what you've seen before, let's just go and when you first started actually hiring people to now, have you seen a big shift in the hiring process for minority individuals, especially the formerly incarcerated? How's that shift been from years ago to now?
Well, where I worked before, it was interesting because, again, Cleveland, Clarksville, Mississippi, and Los Angeles, Linwood, up in just south of downtown LA, South Central LA. The minority, the ethnicity of our workforce in that job was really reflective of where those companies were. So the workforce in Linwood was 100% Hispanic because that's what the neighborhood was, where the factory was. In Mississippi, it was 90% African American, and in the suburb we were in, Cleveland, it was probably 80% Caucasian and 20% African American. Where we here at U.S. Rubber, we are diverse, and if you take those three ethnic groups, Hispanic, African American, and Caucasian, in the factory, it's pretty well balanced. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes one group will exceed another, but not by much. But it's pretty well balanced between the three. If any of the three groups are the largest, Hispanic may be the biggest here, and Caucasian would be the smallest. But again, these aren't big swings between the three buckets, if you will. So just like we don't care about what an individual did their past, we don't care about their ethnicity. We care about their attitude. You got a good attitude and you're going to show up and you do a good job. I don't care what color your skin is, purple, pink, blue, whatever. You work hard, good. Let's go for it. Let's get going. Let's start working.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Jeff. Definitely good. So, Jeff, my next question is basically it's a going right from this question. Do you feel that you see the qualities you look for? Do you see those in the formerly incarcerated people that you work with now when you're doing these interviews? What those qualities that you really want are those being portrayed?
Yeah, they come out. Obviously, someone who's been incarcerated is not going to have good interviewing practice.
Mhm.
They come right out and they fill out an application, answer a couple questions, and they're in. They also don't express themselves well because, again, you have to look at where they're coming from. But as far as being looking at the qualities that we're looking for the business, their attitude about turning themselves around, that comes through. You can see that, you can feel it, you can sense it. Not always, but 80-90% of the time you can. Sometimes we're surprised where someone may be introverted and they don't express that, but it comes out through behavior. They just show up and they do it. And then there's some people that talk a big game and don't play a big game. But eventually, in time, to your question, Andre, I would just say, for the most part, when we're hiring, they do portray the qualities we're looking for. No more, no less than if a non-incarcerated person that would apply for a job. I don't see. And again, I'm not directly involved with the factory hiring, but the feedback I get from our assistant plant manager and our plant manager, they've been doing this for more than a decade, and there's no delineation between the group. So to your question, I don't think the incarceration plays any role other than not being good at expressing it because they haven't had training to do that. That's all.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Exactly. So at ConConnect, right, we understand most employers, Jeff, they're gonna tell us it's that trust issue, right? That's what we hear a lot of when it comes to, what qualities. It's like we're just really worried about trust and trust. So we get that and we understand that there's a trust thing with people, men and women coming home from prison. Content like what me and you're doing now, other content, other educational resources that we can provide them through ConConnect is what
Mhm.
we really thrive to really use that so that way when they do get these jobs, they're a lot more educated on what employers are expecting and on how they need to really adapt during that interview. Like you said, and those skills they should portray during an interview. Have any what's your concerns, right? If you have any, when it comes to like working around for me incarcerated or just hiring them, were there any concerns for you when you especially like in the beginning time? I know you've been doing this for a while now, so I can imagine that you're pretty really comfortable.